Have you ever felt like your balance is just a little different than it used to be? Even though you can still walk, climb stairs, and move through your day normally? Maybe you reach for the wall when you turn a corner. Maybe you pause for a second before stepping off a curb. Maybe getting out of a chair feels perfectly fine. But that first few steps afterward feel slightly less automatic than they once did. These moments can be so small that you barely notice them. And yet, they may be one of the most interesting signals your body gives you about how confidently you are moving through everyday life. The hidden sign is not always a dramatic stumble. Sometimes it is hesitation. That tiny moment when your brain seems to say, wait, let me make sure I'm steady first. Your balance is a remarkable partnership between your eyes, your muscles, your joints, your inner ear, and your brain. All of these systems constantly exchange information without requiring you to think about it. When you walk across your kitchen, step into the shower, turn around to answer someone, or carry a cup of coffee from one room to another, your body is making hundreds of tiny adjustments. Most of the time, you never notice them. But as the years go by, those adjustments can become a little less automatic. Many experts note that maintaining balance is closely connected to maintaining muscle strength, mobility, coordination, and awareness of where your body is in space. That means the small changes you notice are not necessarily something to fear. They can simply be an invitation to pay a little more attention to the way you move. Think about something as ordinary as turning around quickly. When you were younger, you may have turned without thinking, almost as if your body moved before your mind had a chance to participate. Later in life, you might naturally slow down for that turn. You may plant your feet more carefully. You may look toward the direction you are going before moving. That extra moment can actually be useful information. Your body may be choosing a little more precision because the automatic response is not quite as effortless as it once was. And this is where something surprisingly positive begins to happen. Once you notice these small signals, you have an opportunity to support your body instead of simply accepting them as inevitable. Your daily habits can matter more than you might think. Gentle movement, for example, gives your muscles regular opportunities to practice coordination. Walking, changing direction, rising from a chair, reaching for something, and moving through different surfaces all require your body to communicate with itself. Balance exercises can also help you practice staying stable while your attention is directed towards something else. Even simple movements done safely and consistently can become a way of reminding your body, I still use these skills and I still value them. Muscle maintenance is another important piece of this picture. As you age, maintaining strength becomes increasingly useful for everyday confidence. You do not need to chase extreme workouts or spend hours in a gym. Your body benefits from regular opportunities to use its muscles. Standing up from a chair, walking regularly, carrying appropriate everyday items, and doing gentle strengthening movements can all contribute to staying active and capable. Some research suggests that strength, mobility, and balance work together, rather than existing as completely separate abilities. That is why a person can feel generally energetic while still noticing that certain movements require more concentration. Your energy level and your movement confidence are related, but they are not exactly the same thing. And there is another hidden influence that many people overlook: how well you are recovering. Poor sleep, stress, dehydration, and simply having an unusually tiring day can affect how coordinated and steady you feel. You may notice that after a restless night, you move more cautiously. After a busy day, you may feel less precise when stepping around furniture or changing direction. It does not automatically mean something is wrong. It may simply be your body's way of telling you that it needs better recovery. Hydration, nourishing meals, enough protein to support muscle maintenance, regular movement, and restful sleep all become part of the larger picture of staying steady. The beautiful part is that none of these habits have to be complicated. In fact, the most powerful changes are often the quietest ones. A short walk, a balanced meal, a good night's sleep, a few minutes of gentle movement, staying socially connected instead of spending the entire day sitting alone. These ordinary choices can support not just your physical steadiness, but also your confidence, energy, and independence. And once you begin looking at balance this way, that tiny hesitation before a turn starts to look very different. Instead of seeing it as a sign that you are becoming less capable, you can see it as information. Your body is communicating with you. It is giving you a small opportunity to respond with care. Because after 60, strength is not simply about lifting something heavy or moving quickly. Real strength can also mean knowing your body well enough to notice the subtle changes, respecting what it is telling you and giving it what it needs to keep doing the things you love. And there is one surprisingly simple everyday moment that can reveal even more about how confidently your balance system is working. One that most people perform several times a day without ever thinking about it. One of the clearest ways to notice this subtle shift is to pay attention to what happens when your attention moves away from your feet. Imagine you are walking through your home while carrying something, listening to a family member, or thinking about what you need to do next. You are not deliberately focusing on every step. You are simply moving, as you always have. Then suddenly you turn around, step over something, or change direction, and you become aware of your footing for just a moment. That brief increase in concentration can be surprisingly meaningful. Your body has always made tiny corrections as you move, but when those corrections require more of your conscious attention, it may be a useful signal to strengthen the habits that support balance and coordination. You can begin noticing this without turning your day into a test. In fact, one of the best approaches is simply to become more curious about your movements. Notice how confidently you get out of a chair. Notice whether you naturally look for something to hold when stepping into a different room. Notice whether turning around feels smooth or whether you prefer to take an extra step to complete the turn. Notice how you feel when walking on grass, a carpet, or a slightly uneven surface. None of these moments needs to become a source of worry. They are simply pieces of information about how your body is moving today. Your balance system is constantly gathering information from your vision, your joints, your muscles, and your inner ear, while your brain uses that information to help you stay oriented. Many experts describe balance as a team effort rather than a single ability. That is why supporting one part of the system can be helpful, but supporting the whole system can be even more valuable. Your eyes need opportunities to take in your surroundings. Your muscles need regular use. Your joints benefit from comfortable movement. Your brain benefits from coordination and attention. And your inner ear contributes information that helps your brain understand movement and position. When these systems work together, everyday movement can feel almost effortless. But when one or more of them becomes less responsive, you may naturally compensate by slowing down, looking down more often, or becoming more deliberate. The encouraging part is that your body remains responsive to practice. You can give it opportunities to rehearse the movements that matter in real life. Walking is an excellent example because it combines rhythm, coordination, strength, and awareness. Changing direction during a walk adds another layer. Rising from a chair and sitting back down with control asks your legs and core to participate. Reaching gently in different directions while standing safely can challenge your ability to control your center of gravity. Even the simple act of shifting your weight from one foot to the other can remind your body how to make those tiny adjustments that keep movement smooth. The key is consistency rather than intensity. You do not need to make yourself exhausted to give your body useful practice. A few minutes of intentional movement, repeated regularly, can be more realistic and sustainable than an ambitious routine you abandon after a week. And there is another reason to take these small movements seriously. Confidence can influence how freely you move. When you feel uncertain about your balance, you may unconsciously start avoiding certain movements. You might stop taking longer walks, avoid uneven paths, or spend more time sitting because it feels easier. But less movement means fewer opportunities for your muscles and coordination to practice. This can create a quiet cycle in which uncertainty leads to less activity, and less activity makes movement feel less familiar. Breaking that cycle does not require forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations. It can begin with choosing movements that feel manageable and gradually building from there. You can also make your surroundings support your confidence. Good lighting, clear walking paths, comfortable footwear, and keeping frequently used items within easy reach can make everyday movement feel more natural. These are not signs that you are giving up independence. They are signs that you are designing your environment intelligently. There is dignity in making life easier for yourself. And perhaps one of the most overlooked pieces is simply staying connected with other people. When you walk with a friend, play with your grandchildren, shop with someone you enjoy, garden, attend a class, or take part in a community activity, You are often moving while talking, looking around, reacting, and adjusting your pace. That combination naturally engages both body and mind. Some research suggests that social connection and regular activity can support overall well-being, which matters because feeling strong is about more than muscles alone. It is about having reasons to move. It is about waking up with somewhere to go, someone to call, something to enjoy, and the confidence to participate. Your balance is part of that larger picture. It is not simply about standing on one foot. It is about being able to turn toward a familiar voice, step outside to enjoy the morning air, walk across a room carrying your favorite mug, or get up from the dinner table and join the conversation in the next room. Those ordinary moments are where independence becomes real. And once you begin paying attention to them, you may discover that your body has been giving you more useful information than you realized, not through dramatic changes, but through tiny adjustments that invite you to move with a little more intention. As you become more aware of those tiny adjustments, another piece of the puzzle starts to become easier to see. Balance is not only something you practice while standing still, it is something you use every time you move through the changing rhythm of your day. Consider what happens when you wake up in the morning. You have been lying still for hours, your muscles are warm but inactive, and your brain is transitioning from sleep into full awareness. You sit up, place your feet on the floor, stand, and begin walking. That first minute can tell you a great deal about how your body feels that morning. Maybe you feel light and ready to move. Maybe you feel a little stiff and need several steps before your movement becomes comfortable. Maybe you naturally reach for the dresser or chair as you get your bearings. Instead of rushing past that moment, you can use it as an opportunity to listen. Your body does not need to perform perfectly every morning. It simply benefits from being noticed. Sleep is especially interesting here because the relationship between rest and movement is easy to underestimate. After a poor night's sleep, you may feel mentally slower, less energetic, or simply less coordinated. Some research suggests that inadequate sleep can affect attention and reaction time, which are both involved in moving confidently through your surroundings. That is one reason a restful night can be more than a luxury. It is part of your body's daily recovery process. When you give yourself enough opportunity to rest, you are supporting the systems that help you pay attention, respond to your environment, and move with confidence. Stress can play a similar role. When your mind is overloaded, you may rush through simple movements without really noticing them. You may walk while thinking about bills, family responsibilities, work, appointments, or a dozen other things. Your body is moving, but your attention is somewhere else. And sometimes simply slowing down can make movement feel more organized. Taking a breath before standing, looking where you are going before changing direction, or giving yourself an extra second when stepping onto an unfamiliar surface can help you stay present. These small pauses are not signs of weakness. They are examples of intelligent movement. Your body is allowed to choose precision over speed. There is also a connection between balance and the strength of your legs that deserves attention. Muscle naturally changes with age, which is one reason maintaining regular physical activity becomes increasingly valuable. You do not need to become an athlete. You simply want to keep giving your muscles reasons to participate in your life. Every time you stand from a chair, walk up a few steps, carry groceries appropriate for you, or take a walk around the neighborhood, you are giving your body useful practice. Gentle strengthening can add another layer, particularly movements that involve your legs, hips, and core. When your muscles are regularly engaged, everyday tasks can feel more familiar and controlled. And when movement feels familiar, confidence often follows. This is where small habits become surprisingly powerful. You might think that 5 or 10 minutes of movement cannot possibly make a difference because it seems too simple. But health is rarely shaped by one impressive day. It is shaped by what you repeat. A short walk today becomes another walk tomorrow. A few gentle, strengthening movements become part of your routine. Choosing to stand up and move around instead of remaining seated for another hour becomes normal. Over weeks and months, those small decisions create a pattern, and your body responds to patterns. The same principle applies to nutrition. Your muscles need adequate nourishment to maintain themselves, and protein-rich foods can be one useful part of a balanced eating pattern. Foods such as eggs, fish, yogurt, beans, lentils, lean meats, nuts, seeds, or other protein-containing foods can fit into many different styles of eating. The goal is not perfection. It is simply giving your body the building materials it needs as part of an overall nourishing diet. Hydration matters too. When you are busy, traveling, talking with friends, or simply absorbed in your day, it can be easy to forget to drink enough fluids. Many experts emphasize hydration as an important part of everyday well-being, especially when you are active or spending time in warm surroundings. Again, the goal is not to obsess over a number. It is to develop the simple habit of paying attention to your body's needs. What makes this so encouraging is that balance does not exist in isolation. It sits at the intersection of strength, movement, sleep, nourishment, attention, and confidence. Improving your everyday habits in one area may make it easier to stay active in another. Better rest can make movement feel easier. Regular movement can support strength. Strength can make everyday tasks feel more manageable. Feeling capable can encourage you to stay socially active. Social activity can give you more reasons to walk, participate, and keep moving. Before you know it, one small choice can support another, creating a positive cycle that has very little to do with age and everything to do with how you care for yourself today. And that may be the most surprising part of all. The goal is not to move like you did at 30. The goal is to move confidently in the life you have now, with the wisdom to notice what your body needs and the freedom to keep doing the things that make your days meaningful. And that idea becomes even more important when you realize that confidence in movement can be strengthened through ordinary moments, not just formal exercise. Your body learns from what you repeatedly ask it to do. If most of your day involves sitting, your body becomes very familiar with sitting. If you regularly walk, reach, turn, stand, carry appropriate everyday objects, and change positions, those movements remain part of your daily vocabulary. This is why one of the most useful things you can do is keep movement woven naturally into your life. You might walk while talking with someone you love instead of having every conversation seated. You might take a few minutes to move around the house after a long period at the computer or television. You might choose to walk through the garden, browse a store, prepare a meal, or spend time outdoors simply because it gives your body a reason to move. These moments may seem unrelated to balance, but together they create a lifestyle in which your body continues practicing coordination. There is also something powerful about practicing movement while your mind is calm rather than waiting until you feel uncertain. When you deliberately give yourself a few quiet minutes to work on balance and mobility, you can focus on how your feet connect with the floor, how your weight shifts, and how your body responds when you move slowly. Safe, gentle balance exercises can include standing near a sturdy support and practicing controlled weight shifts or other movements appropriate to your abilities. The purpose is not to prove how long you can balance. The purpose is to give your nervous system and muscles a chance to communicate. Some research suggests that balance-focused exercises can help older adults maintain physical function and confidence, particularly when practiced consistently. But perhaps the most valuable change happens in your awareness. You begin to notice your body before it has to shout for your attention. You recognize when you are tired. You notice when your steps feel less coordinated after a poor night's sleep. You realize that you move differently when you have been sitting for hours. You notice that stress changes the way you carry yourself. And instead of criticizing yourself for these differences, you respond with curiosity. That shift in attitude matters. You are not trying to fight your body. You are learning how to work with it. Your body has carried you through decades of experiences, responsibilities, celebrations, challenges, travel, work, family life, and countless ordinary mornings. It deserves that kind of respect. Sometimes people think staying active after 60 means trying to preserve exactly what their body could do decades earlier. But there is another way to look at it. You are not trying to turn back the clock. You are building a stronger relationship with the body you have today. You can become more aware of how you move. You can become more intentional about maintaining strength. You can give yourself better opportunities for rest and recovery. You can choose foods that nourish you. You can make your surroundings easier to navigate. And you can continue doing activities that bring you joy. That is not about chasing youth. It is about protecting possibility. Imagine being able to get up from your chair without thinking about it, walk outside and feel comfortable changing direction, carry something from one room to another with confidence, or spend an afternoon with family without constantly thinking about your footing. Those are not extraordinary achievements. They are examples of everyday freedom. And everyday freedom is one of the greatest forms of vitality. You may also find that staying connected with people gives movement a deeper purpose. Exercise can feel like a chore when it is treated as something you have to endure. But walking with a friend, dancing at a family gathering, playing with a grandchild, visiting a market, tending plants, or joining a group activity can feel completely different. You are not thinking, I am exercising. You are simply participating in life. That combination of movement, purpose, and connection can be incredibly motivating. Many experts recognize social connection as an important part of healthy aging because well-being is not just physical. Your emotional life matters too. When you have people to talk with, places to go, and activities you genuinely enjoy, you have more reasons to stay engaged with the world around you. And engagement encourages movement. Movement encourages confidence. Confidence encourages participation. The cycle continues. So if you have noticed that you sometimes hesitate before turning, feel less steady when distracted, or pay more attention to your feet than you used to, do not automatically interpret that as a statement about what you can no longer do. Instead, let it become a gentle prompt. Perhaps your body is asking for a little more movement. Perhaps you need better rest. Perhaps you have been sitting too long. Perhaps you have not been giving your legs enough opportunities to stay strong. Perhaps you simply need to slow down and become more present when you move. There is no single answer for everyone. What matters is listening closely enough to notice the pattern. And when you notice it, you have something incredibly valuable, an opportunity to act while the change is still small, practical, and manageable. What you do with that opportunity can be remarkably simple. You can begin today by choosing one small movement habit that fits naturally into your life and repeating it often enough that it becomes part of who you are. Maybe that means taking a comfortable walk each morning. Maybe it means spending a few minutes practicing gentle leg and balance movements near a sturdy support. Maybe it means getting up regularly throughout the day instead of remaining seated for long stretches. Maybe it means paying closer attention to sleep, hydration, nourishing meals, or the moments when stress leaves you feeling mentally scattered. You do not need to change everything at once. In fact, trying to change everything at once can make healthy habits harder to maintain. One small choice, repeated with patience, can be far more powerful. And as you continue, you may discover something important about balance. It is not simply about preventing a stumble. It is about preserving your ability to participate fully in your own life. It is the confidence to walk into a room without thinking about every step. It is being able to turn towards someone calling your name. It is stepping outside to enjoy the morning. It is carrying a plate to the table. It is walking beside someone you love. It is getting up from a chair and continuing your day without feeling like movement itself has become the main event. Those ordinary abilities can be easy to overlook because they feel so natural when they are working well. But they are part of your independence, and independence is worth supporting every day. So the next time you notice that tiny hesitation before a turn, that moment when you reach for a nearby surface, or that feeling that your feet need a little more attention than they once did, pause and become curious. Ask yourself what your body might be communicating. Have you been sleeping well? Have you been moving regularly? Have you been eating enough nourishing foods, including sources of protein? Have you been drinking enough throughout the day? Have you spent too much time sitting? Have stress or mental fatigue made you less attentive to your surroundings? These questions are not about judging yourself. They are about becoming a better listener. Your body does not need criticism to become stronger. It needs consistent opportunities to move, recover, and adapt. And perhaps that is the hidden lesson behind changing balance. The signal itself is not the most important part. What matters is what you choose to do after noticing it. You can respond with fear, or you can respond with curiosity. You can assume that every change means decline, or you can see it as a reminder to invest in the abilities that help you live well. You can wait for motivation, or you can begin with something small enough to do today. After 60, there is still enormous room for growth in the way you move, eat, sleep, connect, and care for yourself. Your body is not a finished project. It continues responding to the environment you create for it and the habits you practice. That does not mean every change can be reversed or that everyone will experience the same results. It simply means your everyday choices remain meaningful. A few minutes of movement may seem insignificant. One nourishing meal may seem insignificant. Going to bed a little more intentionally may seem insignificant. Calling a friend and going for a walk may seem insignificant. But life is built from these moments. They accumulate quietly, often long before you notice the result. And one day you may realize that you are moving through your home with more confidence, walking farther without thinking about it, standing up more naturally, or simply feeling more connected to your body. That feeling is worth protecting. So listen to the subtle signals. Give your muscles reasons to stay involved. Give your mind time to rest. Give your body nourishing food and enough fluids. Keep moving in ways that bring you joy. Stay connected with people who make you want to participate in life. And most importantly, remember that being strong after 60 does not mean never changing. It means paying attention, adapting wisely, and continuing to give yourself reasons to move forward. Your best years aren't behind you. They're built one habit at a time. As always, this is general information. Talk to your doctor about anything specific to you.